If you're learning a language on your own, chances are that at some point you've probably doubted your progress, maybe even yourself. You're putting in the time and effort, but you're not really getting to where you want to be, and you can't quite seem to figure out why. I've definitely been there myself, trying different methods, putting in the time and effort, and yet I would still feel kind of stuck, unsure of whether what I was doing was actually working. So in this video, I want to share 6 mistakes that I made and that I see a lot of other self-learners make, and what to do about them. You're reading grammar explanations, underlying words you don't know, and watching videos in your target language. Great way to get started, but not enough for a well-balanced language learning diet. Because what do all of these activities lack? That's right. They don't really engage your brain in a way that helps you think about and confirm whether you actually understood what you're learning. As a result, you don't get feedback. So you might be reading a grammar explanation and have a bit of an aha moment, but I don't think I need to tell you that reading an explanation about something is not the same as actually understanding it. Only when you test yourself can you confirm that you actually understood what you're learning. This testing yourself can come in many shapes. You can conjugate verbs, build new sentences, use new grammar and vocabulary in conversations, and so on. Finally, some people might argue that watching a video is already a pretty active process because you usually get feedback immediately on whether you understood something or not. I would say that this is only partly true because, again, you can't actually confirm that. Unless the misunderstanding is so severe that the story stops making sense altogether, you might mishear a tiny thing. A particle, a conjugation, a filler word, a preposition, a pronoun, and you'd never actually know. The other issue is that even if you did notice that you didn't understand something, you might not always know why. Was it the accent of the speaker? Was there a word you didn't understand? Or maybe did they use an unfamiliar expression? So yes, generally speaking, watching videos is a good activity, but there's definitely more passive and more active ways to go about it. I think we're all guilty of this to some extent, some more than others, but watching how to get fluent videos is not going to make you fluent. I don't think there's anything wrong with browsing around for resources or methods for a while, but at the end of the day, the only thing that's going to make that language spawn in your head is doing the language learning thing. This also, by the way, includes buying textbook after textbook, course after course, and hoping that they will solve whatever problem you're facing. They won't. It can be nice to get a few different explanations on a topic, but your 7th textbook is not going to help you get to fluency any faster or better than the other 6 would. The third mistake I see a lot of people make that really stunts progress is a lack of structure and direction. And I don't blame you. It is genuinely confusing with all the information out there telling you to do this and that and the other. But doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that and being all over the place all the time is going to bring more confusion than progress. So a little bit of structure will definitely be beneficial. This can come in the form of a classic time schedule where you block out every day between 6 and 7 for language study or every weekend for grammar study, but there are also other ways to bring more structure into your learning. If you're learning with a textbook, for example, actually make use of the structure they provide instead of trying to come up with your own topics. It's their biggest selling point. So if the topic for the week is descriptions, make sure you actually learn how to describe things relevant to you. Other ways to structure your learning can be by grammar point or by vocabulary topic, or if you're interested in a certain movie or game, then that can be the center of your attention and you can learn things relevant to that. Structure and time management kind of go hand in hand, but before I say any more on this, let me first clarify what consistency even is, because a lot of people seem to have an incorrect understanding. This is just as much consistency as this and this. You do not have to learn every single day to fulfill the consistency requirement, and not every single study session needs to be of the same intensity. That being said, I know there's this common sentiment that doing a little bit is better than doing nothing, but if you're consistently just doing the bare minimum, don't expect to get more than bare minimum results. And then the other point is obviously that if there's no consistency to be found in your study schedule, you only study when motivation is high, you take really long breaks between motivational study spurts, then that will likely also slow down your progress by a lot. The fifth mistake I see a lot of people make is often rooted in either a fear of making mistakes or in perfectionism. You review the same material again and again because you want to understand 100% of what you're currently learning before moving on to the next level to avoid making any mistakes or building any bad habits. In theory, this sounds great, but in practice, this often leads to getting stuck at the same level for way longer than necessary. Because in reality, going over the same, let's say, grammar point, for example, over and over again will not improve your understanding of it. It's a good reminder, but to really deepen your understanding of something, you need to learn it, review it, and see it over and over and over again in different contexts. And that just doesn't happen if you keep using the same material without ever moving forward. So when you wait until you feel ready to move on, chances are you'll be waiting for a long time. So instead of trying to perfect everything before moving on, just accept that there will be a certain amount of uncertainty and keep going. You can always come back and review things, but if you never move forward, you're limiting the input and the context that would help you actually improve. The last mistake I want to talk about is spreading your focus too thin and trying to improve everything at the same time. Speaking, writing, grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation. That's a lot at once, and if you already don't have a lot of time, this will often lead to you not spending enough time on any one thing to actually make noticeable progress. You might do a bit of speaking here, some grammar there, learn a few words, do some listening practice, but without a clear focus, it's hard to really get anywhere, and that can be really frustrating, because it feels like you're doing a lot, but nothing's really improving as much as you'd like. So instead of trying to do everything at once, it's important to prioritize. If you want to improve your speaking, then speaking and maybe some targeted pronunciation and sentence building exercises should take priority. If your goal is reading, then spending more time reading and expanding your vocabulary might make more sense. That doesn't mean you have to completely ignore everything else, but having a focus for a few weeks at a time will make your learning a lot more effective. So these are the 6 mistakes that might be holding you back. The good news is that they're actually pretty easy to fix once you're aware of them. Have you noticed any of them in your own learning? I'd be curious to hear about that. Let me know which ones in the comment down below. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.